This episode of the Culture Soup podcast is brought to you by the Center for Workforce Excellence. Veteran Fortune 500 executive and executive coach Trudy Bourgeois is offering not one, but 5 of her latest books for giveaways on the Culture Soup podcast. The name of the book, Equality: Courageous Conversations about Women, Men, and Race to Spark a Diversity and Inclusion Breakthrough. What do you have to do to get one of these books? Well, I want you to listen to the episode with Trudy and I in our conversation about authenticity. It's one in several of a series called Authentically SHE during the month of March for Women's History Month. First, you'll need to answer a trivia question. After listening to this episode, you'll need to go to my website at lmichellesmith.com, sign up for the newsletter, and the first 5 people to answer the question correctly will win one of the books. But now it's time for our show. Hey y'all, this is Culture Soup, where tech, culture, and business collide. It's a podcast that spoons up everything hot from social media. I'm your host, L. Michelle Smith, and each episode we bring you some of the most notable and not yet notable thought leaders in tech, business, and culture. The year was 2013. I received a phone call from my first supervisor at the first global agency where I'd taken a job. And he was embedded at AT&T. He asked me if I knew anyone who'd be interested in a position there at the company to start a diversity and inclusion corporate communications practice. Of course, I said I knew someone. And I went to the resumes that I had and I uncovered a couple of names, checked on those people, and guess what? They were doing other things. I called him back and let him know that the people that I was thinking about weren't available. And he told me if I was interested to let him know. Well, we had a history with the whole thing about diversity and inclusion when it came to public relations. Remember, I said he was my first supervisor. Back when I was at Fleischman Hillard, there was a time where the senior partner there actually offered me a diversity PR job. In fact, running the practice for the African American segment. I turned it down. Why? I have somewhat of a love-hate relationship with diversity roles. And let me tell you why. One is because, especially back in those days, diversity budgets were usually the first to get cut. Second of all, so early in my career, I didn't want to get pigeonholed. So I told them then that I didn't want the position. Well, fast forward to 2013. And remember the deep insights that I uncovered with Cheryl Atkins Green at Alberto Culver. We were looking at the texture of people's hair to monitor the browning of America. And we knew by 2020, some things would have changed. Well, there was someone else in my life during that time frame when I ran my agency that had a huge impact on the way I changed my outlook on diversity jobs. Her name was Cheryl Pearson McNeil at the time. Well, now she's married. Her name is Cheryl Grace. My agency represented Nielsen Community Affairs, and that division turned out all the data about diversity segments. In addition to that census data that we had, remember the most checked box was the other box? I knew that something was about to shift in the area of diversity when it came to the United States and even our global society. I figured in about 5 years, they'd need me more than ever because the minority will become the majority. Thanks to stats like Black culture drives pop culture, I was able to take solid, rock-hard data into the boardroom to senior vice presidents who didn't know anything about diversity per se and recommend multi-year programs at AT&T. This is how I know Cheryl Grace. Cheryl Grace's numbers still helped my team to win when it came to diversity, inclusion, public relations, and integrated communications. Fast forward to now. Cheryl Grace is a fellow extrapreneur. She is a senior vice president at Nielsen, and she is also an entrepreneur, and she is powerfulpenny.com. It's a blog that has every little bit of lifestyle information you need to know as a corporate boss, babe. Everybody, I want you to meet Cheryl Grace. She is all the positive terms that you can think of when it comes to the word diva. She is part 3 of our Women's History Month series, Authentically SHE. Ladies and gentlemen, Cheryl Grace.
There we go. How are you?
There she is.
Hey,
So good to see you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of
This
you.
is so exciting. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun.
It seems like it. You just like dove right in and you have like not stopped yet.
Yes, ma'am. I told them I wasn't playing with you.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Everybody, I have Cheryl Grace. Cheryl Grace is a woman after my own heart, not just because she's an extrapreneur like me, and you'll get to find out more about that soon, but she's also powerful, authentic. She walks around in her own skin. She's fabulous, and everybody meets Cheryl Grace. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, you have your own brand. It's called Powerful Penny.
It is. It's Powerful Penny LLC.
Tell me about it.
So what we actually do is we literally help other individuals who are interested in getting to the next level of best in their lives figure out how to do that. And we focus on 6 core areas. Career is the primary area because I find that's where people really want to get to their next level best. But we also do relationships. We handle those family dysfunctions that are going on within your families and how to like deal with that. We talk about how to look and live fabulous. So because I believe that you and your house can look and be fabulous at the same time.
Wow.
Right?
That's a good
one. And then we also focus on prosperity. And the last one is intentionally for women who are earning at least $150,000 a year or more, or those who are aspiring to. We call it Diva Lux. And how to live a Diva Lux life, what that means. And so those are the 6 core areas that Powerful Penny tackles and helps individuals define how to get to their next level best.
Awesome. Well, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into that. I love it that you're an extrapreneur like me, and we'll talk about juggling that. But in the meantime, how about we have a culture soup moment?
I would love it.
Okay, so looking at the threads, looking at the social media outlets and platforms, and I noticed that women, especially women, and even women of color, I've noticed Black women talk about this a lot. But it seems like there's a theme out there around entrepreneurship, or even in your corporate roles, being a boss. So I want to kick things off by talking about #BossBabe. Can you relate to that hashtag? Have you ever used it?
Oh my gosh. So I love hashtag boss babe. You know, I always talk about you got to be a badass and you got to be a boss. And right here on my desk where all the magic happens, I even have this little sign, boss lady, in pink, because those are the colors of my brand. But bossing up is the thing. So yes, boss babe, I'm right there with you.
Right. So do you think there are a lot of people that are just overusing the hashtag, or is it aspirational, or... You know, I think that maybe it's aspirational, but people are actually out there grinding.
People absolutely still look at those hashtags and see what falls up underneath them. That's what I love about the hashtag is if you're like feeling, well, I don't feel like a boss babe today, or I don't feel like boss lady today. What's a boss lady look like or feel like? If you go to that hashtag, it will identify it and clarify it for you. And you're like, well, I'm that. Right. I'm that too. And I'm that. Oh, yeah. I'm all those things.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you know, that hashtag jumped out at me when I was thinking of you, because I consider you to be a boss babe.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, because you are running things in corporate America and you got your own thing. So,
I do.
Yeah. How do you balance being, I mean, you're like an officer. You're senior vice president. And you're balancing both.
Senior VP, tons of travel. And what I find is with a demanding role like this, I'm on the road a lot. And so I'm in hotel rooms a lot. And if I'm not out entertaining or being entertained, then I'm in the room, and I don't watch television when I'm in a hotel room. And so I had all this downtime when I was in hotel rooms. Plus I have insomnia because I'm not able to sleep.
Oh, okay.
So what I found was between the hours of 2 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, I wasn't sleeping and I wasn't doing anything. I was reading a lot of books because I'm a voracious reader. And I said, well, what if I put this time toward bringing my dreams to life? I don't want to wait until after I leave my corporate role. I want to be able to make a transition when I do leave corporate America across an even platform as opposed to stepping down. Or I prefer to step across or step up. So that's what I do from 2 in the morning to 8 in the morning. That's my powerful penny time.
Oh my God. Cheryl, when do you sleep?
I go to bed at about 9. So from 9 to 2.
Okay.
From 9 to 2 in the morning is when I generally sleep. And then it's like my alarm clock literally goes off in my head and I wake up and I'm on the computer, or I'm, you know, I've got a lot of folks that I do business with who are not in the States. And so their time is prime time for them when I'm up in the morning. So I connect with my team members who are overseas, and that's how we do it.
Amazing. That's amazing. So you were my client about 6-7 years ago, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. And for a while there, we hadn't even met in person.
We had not. And can I just say that, you know, talking about being a boss, you were a badass.
Oh, wow, Cheryl.
At the job, at what you did. And if you recall, like when I heard that you were leaving, you were starting going into corporate, I like called, is there any way we can still work together? Like, can we do something? Yes. Please.
That's the way I like to leave my clients, asking for more and happy.
Oh, you were phenomenal at what you were doing then, what you're doing now, just phenomenal. So, you know, iron sharpens iron.
Yes, ma'am.
Boss knows boss.
Yes, ma'am. So we've known each other for some time now, and I've been able to see you operate, moving in and out of corporate, moving in and out of your own entrepreneurial interests. And I have been marveling at how authentic you are. I describe you as a diva in the best way, the best word. If you're going to have a good word or a good diva, it's you.
Thank you.
The way you carry yourself with purpose. So we talked a bit not long ago when I did the 2-part series on authenticity at work for Black Enterprise about what it means to be authentic. So let's share with the listeners what your idea of being authentic at work really means.
It took me a little bit of time to step into my authenticity simply because, I entered the work world late 80s. Mm-hmm. And at that time, it was easier for you to just kind of blend in order to get along. But I found I don't really blend in very well. I'm 5'9.5", flat shoes, and I never wear flat shoes. I'm usually walking around in stilettos.
Good.
So I have this presence and blending in. I've never been accused of being a wallflower. And I found that when I was shrinking away from that persona, that I wasn't speaking up, I wasn't confident, and it occurred to me that I was bringing no value when I wasn't allowed to use my own voice, to be who I am. And ever since I was in kindergarten, teachers have always said on my report card, Cheryl talks too much, right?
I love it.
I mean, from kindergarten all the way through. And when I got into one role in particular in corporate America, and I made a comment during a business meeting, I was the only woman of color in the room, the only person of color, period, in the room. And there were, I think, 2 other women in the room. And I made a comment, and it didn't go over well with the person that I was asking a very, very simple question. And my boss didn't back me up.
Oh.
And so what I did was I shut down. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to speak up in this room anymore because what I have to say isn't valued. And that's when I recognized, however, too, that my contribution level also declined.
Right.
Because I wasn't feeling that I could lend any real value to the conversation. I shut up. And that's when I recognized nobody puts baby in a corner.
Right.
And that if I couldn't be myself, then I didn't want to be there. And I changed roles. So I haven't had that problem since then of not speaking up.
Right.
I've learned how to do it in a way that people would be receptive to hearing my message, but I still do it in my own flavor. I always got to bring my own secret sauce to the situation.
Right. Well, in the article, we talk about what it was a journey for you. It didn't just happen overnight. And maybe that instance made you think of it, but talk about the journey to really fully embracing everything that Cheryl Grace brings to the table and bringing it to the table.
Yeah. So, physical appearance is huge. And I talked and mentor a lot of young African-American women who, talk about how they don't feel like they necessarily blend in. And I say, you don't have to blend in. So for me, in a very stringent culture where you wear, well, this was in the beginning, where the suits, the gray suits, the dark suits were always pinstripe suits were what men were always wearing. So I would put my own Flavor Flav to it. So I had a gray pinstripe dress that cinched at the waist.
Yes.
I had a big bow, and then I put on cranberry stilettos with that. Love it. And walked into that space and felt like I could own it like that. But you have to understand your culture, the corporate culture where you're in, or the work environment that you're in, to understand how that's going to be received.
Right.
And that should be something that you're doing when you're interviewing for a job. Like, how do I feel in this role here in this company? How do I feel having a conversation with this man? I've been on interviews before where I knew, ooh, this is not going to be good, because I didn't feel comfortable in the interview and took the dang on job anyway.
How many times do we do that?
Took the job and never really felt comfortable. And this was the same role that I had where, I stopped speaking up in those corporate boardrooms. So you have to bring who you are, all of you, whenever you have an opportunity. Bring it in a way that is going to be received by the people on the receiving end.
So is there a prerequisite? I talk a lot about performance excellence, kind of opening the door for you to be you. So Talk to me about how you made sure that you were just excellent, and that may have helped you to bring all of Cheryl to work.
Yeah. So one of the things that I talk about when I'm mentoring individuals is you can't walk into a room when you first land somewhere and expect them to recognize your fabulosity. Mm-hmm. You have to earn that. Mm-hmm. And so what I know that I need to do is I need to make sure that you have an understanding mm-hmm. of my mind and mm-hmm. skills before I unleash all of my awesomeness. Mm-hmm. Because I want you to recognize me for what I bring to the table mm-hmm. and the results I deliver, the metrics that, I use to help define what success looks like for the company. Mm-hmm. That's really important. And I want you focused on that first, right? Before you focus on the fact that, how I dress, how I wear my hair, those are things that I think a lot of young people in the workforce think they don't have to deliver first. Mm-hmm. And you always have to go above and beyond. Always. Go beyond what they're asking you to do. Mm-hmm. The worst thing you can do is do exactly what someone asked you to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That gets you nowhere.
Right.
So prove yourself first in all of that you're going to deliver. And then that authenticity, should be able to just kind of come out and say, yeah, not only can I deliver, but I can look like a badass too.
Right. That reminds me of something I was going through on my corporate job before I was promoted. And I knew that the promotion was right. I was right at the brink of it because I was doing such a great job getting all the feedback that I was getting. And I was dying to get a nose ring. And I still have it. I have a stud.
Oh, I see.
And so I literally took a poll of friends first. And then I actually talked to some people inside the company. Mm-hmm. I started looking for dress code. Is there anything about piercings, anything about tattoos? Just trying to figure out, because I look around and I saw one or two people that may have had them. And one of my mentors was like, okay, well, what roles do they have? You kind of have to look at that. I'm like, okay. And then some of my friends were like, oh, yeah, that would be hot. But, do they do that there? And I said, well, actually, I've seen it. And I went on and took the leap. At the time, I was wearing a big curly fro, strawberry blonde. And
what year was this?
This was 2015, 16, something like that.
Okay.
And I said, if they're all right with the fro, they're going to be all right with the stud. Now, I wasn't going to wear the loop. I knew, I'm not going to do anything massive or anything like that. And when I got it, I went home and had my little girl with me, and my dad was sitting there, and he's like, did I see something sparkle? And I was like, yeah, you did. And he said, and he leaned in really close, and he's like, oh, that's a jewel, isn't it? I said, yes, it is. And my parents are pretty conservative. Uh-huh. But it didn't jump out at them. And when that didn't happen, I was like, okay, I think I'm good. Went on to work. No questions from anybody. Within months, I was promoted to director.
All right.
Yeah. And that was one of those things where I was like, okay, I kind of took a risk, but I knew I was killing it at work.
Yeah. Yes. If you are killing it, you have a lot more latitude than if you're not.
Right.
And if you're not, it shouldn't be a surprise that you're not.
Right.
People come to me all the time. I don't understand why I'm not getting promoted and blah, 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 blah. And I'll say, so tell me, are you showing up for work on time? Most days. Oh, okay. So it's like, there should be no surprises when it's time for your performance evaluation.
Right.
Because if your manager isn't reaching out to you, you should be reaching out to them for those updates, right? Between the annual evaluation, at least 4 times a year, so that you're not surprised at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
And then you'll know that you're killing it. And then you'll know that you are comfortable enough to bring your nose ring to the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To a Fortune 9, I should say.
Yes.
Yes. They were like, that's kind of a bold move, but hey, I'm still wearing it today.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Cheryl, if you had tips for people out there, especially women of color, and I refer to the Lean In, McKinsey Women in the Workplace research, because it really is, outside of Catalyst, probably the research that people point to when it talks about Black women and our role in corporate America, and how it's a struggle to make it into leadership positions and even stay there. If you had any advice, especially for Black women and even women in general, about bringing your authentic self to work, I would say maybe 3. What would you say?
The first thing I would say is read the room and understand what that room is saying, and how what you want to do from an authentic moment. Read the room and determine if you can rock the nose ring, right? Read the room. So you did your due diligence, you looked around, you talked to folks. That's important. The second point I would make is trust your gut. A lot of us don't trust our gut. And I think you should trust your gut before you ask your girlfriends.
Yes. Before
you ask your husband, your significant other, your boo, whatever. Trust that gut on what you think is going to propel you to your next level of best. And then the third thing that I would say is, and it's not just about bringing your authentic self, but about everything. If you don't know, ask. You don't ask, you don't get. And so, like, you went around and you did a survey, if you will. So if you don't know, ask for help, ask for clarity, I don't ask for permission.
Yeah.
Because I think it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. So I'm going to jump out there and trust my gut that I'm doing it in my authentic way and that it's going to work out best for the company or the business or my brand. But I'm not going to ask you for permission.
Right.
Because when you reach a certain level in your career, the expectation is that you are a leader. And you should be given the leeway to lead and do it in your own authentic way.
That's so important.
Those are the 3 areas.
That's awesome. I appreciate those tips, and I'll probably write those up and share them. But I think even it merits us to even go back and say, you get to not ask permission when you're performing at your very best.
But you got to be bringing it.
Yes.
You have to be, I know that there are times when my manager wanted to say, Cheryl, but I was bringing it.
Right.
It's like you couldn't dispute anything I was saying because I was delivering time and time and time again. And you have to be on point. You can't be lackadaisical. You can't expect just because of time, right? So I had someone say, well, I haven't been promoted. And usually other people on my team are promoted after 18 months or 24 months, right? Like, okay, but there's something else that goes along with that. Were they also performing? And are you just riding out the time tide?
Right.
Or are you delivering? Because it's not just about timing.
Totally. So, what's going on with Powerful Penny these days?
So Powerful Penny is about to launch our podcast.
Awesome!
Yeah. So you should see it by the end of March.
Good.
And so we're doing that. I'm very excited about that. And then the blogs. So our blogs, we've got blogs that we have in those 6 core areas. And so careers and relationships and prosperity and, looking and living fabulous and Diva Lux and family. So our blogs are all about helping you get to the next level. And so anyone who's interested can go to powerfulpenny.com and tap into any of those blogs, because I think it just gives you a holistic life perspective around all of the dimensions of our lives.
Well,
and so I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome. I love your content, and you've got a partnership with Mavens, right?
Yes, with Maid Mavens and also theladders.com.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so excited about that.
Good
so
for
the
you.
content is great. There's plenty of content out there. We'll start putting up fresh content again this year, but there's a lot to keep you occupied right now.
And everybody, Cheryl is an awesome speaker too. So if you can ever catch her on the circuit, please do. Do you have any upcoming appearances?
Right now for Powerful Penny, I don't. I've got a lot scheduled for Nielsen, but I'm always interested in coming out, talking to students, talking to business resource groups or employee resource groups at corporations. I'm always interested in doing that. Women's groups, church groups.
Yeah.
So love to have you invite me to come out and speak somewhere to your listeners who are listening.
Awesome. So where can we find you online?
You can find me, I'm on Instagram, as you know, under powerful_penny. You can also find me at powerfulpenny.com.
Okay.
And LinkedIn under Cheryl Grace, Cheryl Grace.
Awesome. You have anything you want to add before we go?
I just think that everyone should believe in eating pink elephants.
Tell us about that.
A pink elephant is your big, most audacious goal that takes you out of your comfort zone, that you're almost not sure you can achieve unless you like really just kind of drill down and make up your mind that this is something you're going to do.
Right.
And I believe I eat pink elephants all the time.
Right.
And I believe you can slay those pink elephants. So set those really big, huge goals and go for it.
I love it. I love it, Cheryl. Thank you so much for coming on. This is an incredible series.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Continued good luck for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Wow. Who's ready to go eat some big old fat pink elephants with me? That's right. Cheryl Grace has inspired us all. Thank you so much, Cheryl. And you know what? A special surprise guest episode for the last Thursday in March. And it's not St. Marshall. I know you guys are thinking so because she's a part of that series and we wanted her to be, but she's going to come to us after the Mavericks close out the season. Yes, that's the CEO of the Dallas Mavericks. St. Marshall will be on sometime later on after the season's over. So think spring, summer, but our next episode, just wait. I have something cooking for you. Also, April 11th, mark your calendar, another free 30-minute mentor masterclass to round out this Women's History Month series on authenticity called Authentically SHE. We are going to have Authenticity 101 with yours truly. Mark your calendar. More information to come. I'll get the link out soon. Also, you want to keep going by the 30minutementor.com to check to see when registration opens for summer cohorts. Yes, that's right. One-on-one sessions with yours truly for 30 minutes apiece. Plus, we're going to get the group together virtually so you can have the support of other consult mentees. Looking forward to it. Find us on the internet at theculturesoup.com, on Instagram and Twitter at theculturesoup. And by the way, thank you for listening. You've had us strong in the top 200 in the U.S. on Apple Podcast. Business News for 6 weeks strong, people. Yes. And you know what? We now have a global audience. We're so excited about that. We are ranking in Mexico, in France, and the UK, and we are heard on every continent. So excited to have you along. Welcome, all of my global citizens. Until next time, see you next week. The Culture Soup Podcast is a production of No Silos Communication.